Hi. This is another video in the series of videos which is on the teleological argument, the argument from design. And this is, again, it's from this anthology, Poignant Anthology of Philosophy of Religion. And I'm not going to go through the whole thing, I'm just going to go through a lot of part 2 of David Hume's dialogues concerning natural religion. In this book, included are parts 2 and 5, and I would like later to, I don't know if I want to later, but I might later go through a whole analysis of the whole book. The whole book, dialogues concerning natural religion. Probably not anytime soon though, but if anybody wants that, if anybody would like that soon, then I could definitely arrange that. But right now, I want to discuss the part 2, but it mostly has to do with the teleological argument, and it's being argued by one statement by a person in this dialogue named Cleanthes, and this is mostly referring to arguments about why we can't know anything about God's nature. It's in the previous part, also in the second part, which is not included here. Philo, which is another person here within the dialogue, agrees that God's existence is indubitable, and that we can't really doubt that. But what I'm concerned with is teleological arguments about how God's existence can be proved. So the only reason I'm doing this is because I want to look at bad arguments here. I want to read what Cleanthes said, and then I'm not going to read the rest of it. I want to go over the arguments that Demea and Philo say against Cleanthes in Hume's dialogue here.
Look around the world. Contemplate the whole and every part of it. You will find it to be nothing but one great machine, subdivided into an infinite number of lesser machines, which again admit subdivisions to a degree beyond what human senses and faculties can trace and explain. All these various machines, and even their most minute parts, are adjusted to each other with an accuracy which ravishes into admiration all men who have ever contemplated them. The curious adapting of means to ends throughout all nature resembles exactly, though it much exceeds, the production of human contrivance, of human design, thought, wisdom, and intelligence. Since, therefore, the effects resemble each other, we are led to infer, by all rules of analogy, big word here, that the causes also resemble, and that the author of nature is somewhat similar to the mind of man, though possessed of much larger faculties, proportioned to the grandeur of the work which he has executed. By this argument a posteriori, and by this argument alone, do we prove at once the existence of a deity, and his similarity to human mind and intelligence.
Okay. This is one statement which gets picked out a lot in this dialogues. Demea gives a objection, and then Philo gives a long, a big, objection to this. Demea has a problem with the fact that this is an a posteriori argument. A posteriori arguments, he says, are only probable and are not indubitable. Also, he has a problem with Cleanthes stating this little statement that this proposed God and the mind of man are similar. Cleanthes goes about that by saying that machines, let's say microwaves and cars, stuff like that. All these, different machines. I mean, back then there were no cars, but I'm talking like now, a machine being like, anything like even anything that has like a purpose that functions in some way or another. Or let's say back then, let's say one of those. I can't think of it, but just anything is classified here as a machine, which it serves a certain purpose, and is is not itself one real element. It has more than one phase of its existence. But essentially, a machine, like machines are said to have a cause and that they're man-made, right? Everything that is here right now, everything that everything that is, everything that is everything that isn't itself natural is man-made. It's that stuff like that would be classified as a machine, and then those things then it's like the watch and the watchmaker, tripping on watch as opposed to tripping on a rock. The rock is it's like whatever, it's just part of nature, but the watch is different. It didn't come there because of nature. It came there because somebody left it there, or a man made it, and that is a good example of a machine. And then the analogy between the idea of making like the two things of the God who created it and the mind of man comes from the analogy that Cleanthes makes between the common machine here and the universe as one big machine. And since the machine here has a creator, then the big one must also. And then Philo has a few different arguments, but I want to first discuss the whole argument from design itself. First, machine made by human intelligence. Therefore, all these machines were made the same way. Next, there's an analogy between the universe and the machine, which I explained earlier, and therefore, because of three, the universe was made by something similar to human intelligence. Because of the machine being made by human intelligence, then the universe must have been made by something similar, and that's where the whole idea of this ultimate perfect cause of God coming from is where it comes from. The analogy argument is it comes from the mind of man, God, versus the machine universe. First of all, this is a bad analogy argument. Number one, because he says that the universe is the idea of the universe being made is a effect that's it's not like producing a regular machine here. It's a different kind of effect, a unique effect. And also, the universe as a whole, one machine is a part. So the analogy is going between the part to a whole, where a good analogy argument would become two things that are within the part, like let's say we're talking about, two different things, two different things which we're trying to argue here that they have the same property. Let's say the property that they do things, or like let's say the property of, let's say the property of I mean, what I'm trying to say is that this property is a property that ascribes to the certain the object of doing something. It's a verbal thing. A good analogy argument would become two things within the whole of the whole universe, and that we would be trying to see in both of those things the same property of action, the same property. And a good argument would be, this would be to try and find the same property between the both. A good analogy here would be using induction to show that both of these things have the same property, and it's been seen multiple times, and each time you see it, you're never certain. Like Hume says in the treatise of human nature, that you're not obligated to believe that because of good inductive argument. But each time you see it, you get more and more evidence for this analogy, and then also he discusses this idea of induction, and also why the idea of between the universe and the part of the whole of the machine doesn't work, because induction, we are induction. With induction, the point is to with an argument of induction, like is here. The idea is to get more general, I guess, but the same thing, it's because there's the idea of the whole versus the part, which makes that whole induction thing not work. Next would be that not all order means there's an intelligent designer. Think about that. I guess the big thing I want to discuss here is that it's been shown here that those ideas of those arguments of analogy and induction there didn't work because of the idea of the unique effect, and the part to the whole thing didn't work. But the big thing I want to discuss here is the fact that Cleanthes is going off a big idea that this idea of order, observing order in the world is gonna lead to or that order is a result of of design, and there being a intelligent designer behind it. That is a big, I guess that's something that doesn't come from logic itself. Christians, Christians similar to myself are gonna say, well, look at this, look at nature, look at everything like that, and you can see how much order there is, and that couldn't have come by, chance and chaos. But in truth, it could very well have. Now, keep in mind, I'm a Christian, and I'm saying this, and that it could not have it just because if there's order doesn't mean it's produced by design. Take for instance evolution and the Big Bang theory. Those are theories. They had not been proven by any means, but if they were proven and proven without any reliance on some sort of deity, this would be I mean the fact that those things are theories shows that there's possibility of that being there. To me, a theory, if something becomes a theory, it shows that there's a great possibility of that being the truth. Now, personally, I don't believe in evolution. I don't believe in the Big Bang theory. But I believe somewhat in the possibility that they could have happened. Well, I take that back. Evolution, I don't believe could have happened. Evolution, I don't believe was a possibility. The Big Bang theory, the Big Bang, on the other hand, I think could have happened, because there are a lot of things that Christians, they read in the Bible, and I read in the Bible all the time, but they could have been manifested in reality in different ways. So, and I think that to have the idea that, looking at nature and looking at the world, seeing all this order, there has to be some sort of designer behind it. That is something that comes. That's an idea that comes from elements of faith that you gain within you from, worshiping and reading scripture. That comes from elements of faith rather than logic itself. Because logic isn't going to lead you to believing this. Logic is not gonna. There are times where there's order, and there's lots of possibilities where there could be order, where there's no designer, or order is sprouting from chaos or nothing. So, yeah. And I think that when Christians do say that, it's because they have elements of faith. Like I look at the world and I think, well, that's amazing. That God created that, but that's faith. That's faith that is built within me. It's not logic. It's there's faith logic there. That this logic that comes from faith, and where I guess there's. I want to say knowledge, but in the epistemic definition of knowledge, that's not knowledge. But I feel like it's knowledge, because I believe that. But I don't know. I could go on about epistemic definitions and differentiation between concepts a lot, but I think that this shows that these basic arguments don't work. These basic ideas of the design argument, they don't work because of the the foul analogy, the foul induction, and the things that that are being analogized, and the things that we're talking about here don't work for this type of for this structure of argument.